happiness is an organized nursery of potted plants and shrubs. Actually, there are a lot of other things to make me happy, but this is just what's on my mind today. I've been so unhappy with what's been going on here that it gives me joy to know that it's finally under control. But let me take you back and show you what it started out like. As usual, I forgot to start my camera or even take a before shot. So this is after I've been working for a while. It's hard to imagine I've been working for a while, but I've been moving the nursery of rescue shrubs, the ones that are sadly in need of rehabilitation. Some of these that are still here are obviously goners, and I'm doing them by type, so that's why there's still some herbs out there. So here is their temporary new home. And by putting them all in one row, as I've done, I'm hoping they'll be easier to water and keep track of. I've kind of grouped the ones that go together. Some of these society garlics need dividing again already. And then I've got a couple of crepe myrtles over here, kind of hard to see. And that is about where I'm hoping to plant the plumbago. I'm going to power wash that wall, take down whatever the heck that is that my husband hung. He needs a very dark room to sleep in, but that is not acceptable. Well, the sun is rapidly departing, but here's how I've set up the nursery. Over here, it's still going to get a lot of leaf drop, unfortunately, from the pepper tree, but at least the pots are all distinct and visible, which will be easier watering. Because the way they were bunched before, I think I was missing some of the pots because I couldn't see where the pots were through the foliage. I was probably watering between the pots instead of into the pot. But here's the big accomplishment. The forest is nearly gone. It's still got issues that I'm gonna have to figure out. Open to any suggestions. We've got all these stumps here that we've got to deal with. Maybe I need to get someone out here with a stump grinder. We used to have a pomegranate in the corner, and if I'm not mistaken, this is a pomegranate right here. So I don't know if it's just always been here and been too shaded. I don't know if it'll come back. I'm not done. I still have these pepper volunteers to deal with. I'm gonna see if I can knock them out today. If I can at least get everything cut down, here's my debris, then I can have an easier job tomorrow of just cutting it down to size so that I can put it in our green bin. Now that this is open, I can dream, I can plan. I wasn't able to focus my planning attention on it because we were so preoccupied with other areas of the garden. Right now, I actually can start thinking about what I'm gonna do in the fall down here. So it's a good day, a good day's work. So every time I would think I was done pulling out all the pepper volunteers, I would step back and I'd be able to see more. Almost as if they were sprouting right before my eyes. In fact, I see one now. I thought this time I really was done. Look at this. There's one here, here, maybe it's all the same plant. So now that I've removed all the pepper tree volunteers, I've also raked back all the leaves and debris that were on the ground here. You can see in the corner here that I've still got stumps that will need to be dealt with, because I can guarantee you that I will have a lot of suckers and volunteers springing up from those in no time. The reason I decided to rake back the leaves is that I decided I wanted to plant some wildflowers back here. I guess you could say it's sort of a cover crop. I just have wanted to use these seed packets for a while. They're a little older, they've been in my collection for a while, and I thought they'd look pretty. I've got my irises all kind of gathered in one spot because I'm pretty sure those are going to be going into the ground soon. I'm not 100% sold on that, but it's the time to put them into the ground. So if I can figure out a spot for them, then I'll definitely get them in the ground. If not, I don't know, maybe keep them in the pot a little longer, maybe divide them if they need it. I'm kind of new to irises, so I'm not 100% sure on that. And I have yet to deal with these pots here. They, they look horrible, don't they? I need to just sort them and trash the ones I'm not keeping and clean the ones I am keeping so they'll be ready for planting. And then I have quite a few here that have bulbs in them, and I have no plan with those yet. I may just leave them in the pots. I may pull them out and put them in some sawdust or peat moss. I do know that I need to come up with a plan. Have I mentioned how crazy it is that my potato bush is finally giving me flowers? Well, it's in the most not pretty spot it's ever been in. It's just hanging out in the nursery and with the supplies waiting for its final home. I was entertained by a video that Harmony Hills Garden made recently, and I'll link it below. She had finally gotten all her plants that were in waiting into spots in the ground, and I'm ashamed to say I don't know when that's going to happen for me. These are all my ladies in waiting. They recently had a couple of new additions too. That's probably the problem, right? So I found these Peter Pan agapanthus on clearance, and I'm not a huge fan of agapanthus, but I do like the Peter Pan, the little smaller one. And then I found this. I never knew about this plant before. It looks so much like a digitalis, and it's got the name digitalis in it. It's called a Dixaplexus. Well, it's got the digi part. And the leaves remind me of a foxglove, but it's a perennial instead of a biennial, which is what the foxgloves are. So those are new. And I feel like there was one other new guy in town. Oh yes, here it is. This is actually a full-size lily of the Nile, agapanthus. And I bought this for two reasons, three. One is that it was on clearance. Also, I really liked the foliage with the variegated. And the third reason is because I need to be thinking about what I'm going to be planting in this area. I've decided that since I've got this big bird of paradise, that what I really need to do is do a little bit of a tropical look here. And I thought that the lily of the Nile would look good here. In fact, I'm not sure, I might use the Peter Pans over here as well. So one just little quick sweep because I want to point out, look at what's not here anymore. I moved all the pots. I'm still going through them, but at least they've been sorted now, and I've got like with like, and I can more easily determine what I need and what I don't need. And it was a good job for today because it's shady back here and it is a warmer day. I did notice that I've got a lot of seedlings coming up where I scattered seed. And I do have plans to remove this debris here. It couldn't get into my green can because my green can's been working hard in the front yard. So it may actually go into the compost pile. I'm just leaving it here until the moment when I can deal with it. But I noticed seedlings elsewhere. Oh, right here. These were the shade mix. And that's the only place I'm really seeing them. I don't really remember where I scattered them, to be honest. And I moved my new bench over here. I need to either stain or paint it. My husband says let's just use it the way it is now, but I feel like I want it to be freshened up. And I do have cushions to go on it. And I don't think this is going to be its exact location. I want to say it's going to be over a little more to the right. What I want to do is find some kind of circle benches and kind of maybe put one or two, maybe even three if I could find three benches around the tree there. And then put the wooden bench a little bit off to the side here so that I've got, a whole bunch of seating back here. I do know once I've dealt with the stumps that were left from the pepper tree, the volunteers, that once those are gone, I can think about what kind of planting I want back here. My husband was saying, just leave those stumps and we'll just plant around them, but I think that would become a nightmare because those are just going to send up, they're already sending up volunteers, suckers. So, and it's a bit of a hazard because I have these, you can see these little bricks that are sitting incongruously in the middle of the yard. Those are there to cover other big stumps because it's so easy to trip on them. You don't see them too well. So I need to get those all out. I'm kind of able to start planning how I want it to look, but once those come out, then I can actually start acting on my plans. This area doesn't have stumps to deal with. Well, there may be one a little bit to the left, but this I can actually start on. So I need to tame the Nandina a bit because it's gotten really out of hand. I've got plans to remove those down at the end, and then I'm not sure. I think I want to bring it down a little bit actually. Up in the top there, it's very woody, and I think it's a little bit too much the way it's going off there to the side. So I need to pull that down. And then I think in the meantime, until I really get working on this bed, since it's very sparse with the grass, I think it'll be easy to pull out. Oh, I see a pepper volunteer right here. I think it'll be easy to pull out the grass and just rake away the leaves and start just putting seeds right now, and maybe some mulch just to start conditioning the land a bit. Maybe even put cardboard, do a sheet mulch, and then do the seeds above that. But I was thinking even doing some tithonia and some shorter sunflowers just to get working in this area and give it some interest, give it some color, and dream about what's to come. I've been this morning just walking around and cleaning up around here, and I had a lot of pepper suckers and volunteers coming up back here, and you see I have another stump back there. I'm not sure what we'll do with that one, but the Nandina and the pepper tree are my nemesis. They make me crazy. The growth on the tree, you can't really tell from here, but there's a lot of growth on the tree, and from where I was sitting earlier, it looks like there's been at least 4 feet or more of growth on this, we're calling it a tree, on this volunteer since we had it trimmed, which was in March. Same thing on the big mama, who actually is very pretty. I've probably commented on that before. I just think this tree is gorgeous, but as much as I love it and can admire its beauty, I also despise it because of how invasive it is. And I was actually finally determined that it's not a California pepper. I had been told by one of our tree trimming guys that it was a California pepper, but I looked it up with a Google lens, and it's a Brazilian pepper, and it is in fact an invasive species. And I actually read a write-up, a paper from one of the local universities that said, if you have these, what you ought to do is take them out, give instructions how to kill them, and replace it with a tree that won't be invasive, because this destroys natural habitats. Native habitats, excuse me. And you have to stay on them constantly. If you're not on them constantly, it just takes over. I'm sure people in other areas have similar situations with invasive species. It may not be the Brazilian pepper, although I've read that it is found in other parts of the country. It's not in cool areas, because that's one thing it can't tolerate is cold temperatures, but any warm areas. So anyway, it's just something we have to live with, and we're working around, because we're not going to take this tree out. If we were here forever and ever and ever, maybe we would think about it, but we're not going to be here forever. So we're just going to work with it, and I'm going to have to be diligent about not letting it regain control. And I've got it, of course, not just in the big tree, but the secondary volunteer area, and then there's a third volunteer area. And I came over here to actually point out, even though this was just trimmed, I've got problems already with the weight from all the new growth causing low branches here again. Because when they first trimmed the tree, I could walk over here and not crash into this, but this is actually at my eye level or head level. So I'm thinking I need to get out here on a ladder and at least do some modest pruning to remove those really low hanging branches. And I will probably need to have at least this tree trimmed again, likely in the winter. But I've also noticed, real quickly, I'll just walk over here, our table, which we haven't used since last month, our table has the same issue. We were able to sit here in July. We were able to sit here and talk and eat and enjoy each other's company, but I don't know if you can perceive it through this lens. If you were to sit here, your face would be right here with, you know, tree in your face. Same thing over here. There would be tree right on top of your head if you were sitting in one of these seats. And we're planning to have a couple of people over, I should say, this weekend. And we want to, of course, be outdoors and distant, but we've got to do something about these low-hanging branches because that's not going to do. So here's a sweep through the yard. I'm calling this progress. I feel like I am seeing the future better. I have obviously a lot of stuff to still deal with. I have to take care of all these little smaller, I guess, orphans and get them at least in one area and get this area cleared out because I do intend to sheet mulch this area as well. I'm really excited because I finally decided what I'm going to do with these beautiful big obelisks. I've been trying to come up with a plan. I don't want to get rid of them. I really like them. And they were something that I found in my travails on OfferUp that was a great deal. And I had an initial plan that I thought was going to be perfect, and it wasn't. It didn't work. And so they've just been sitting here doing nothing. And what I decided is I'm going to grow sweet peas on them. Wouldn't that be lovely? So I don't know exactly where they're going to go yet, but I think they're going to be gorgeous covered in sweet peas. And I'm guessing, because I'm planning to do a couple of flower beds or ornamental beds, that they may just end up somewhere in this area because all these little tables will be gone and everything on the ground will be gone, and this will actually be, you know, edged and mulched, and they may look good back there, or because they're more formal looking, although I'm going to try to bring that formality down a bit. But if that doesn't seem like the right spot for them, maybe to put them somehow into this area, because I'm going to do a bed back here as well, or a long border. I guess it's more of a border. So if you have any opinions, I'm always open to listening to ideas, and maybe you have better ideas than I do.